So in this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, we're starting a new book of Bamidbar. One of the interesting things we learn about is the structure of the campsite, right? The way in which this thing called the tribes of Israel will wander in the deserts until they reached Israel. And one of the interesting things we discover is that God is the one that dictates this structure, right? God tells Moses, this is where every tribe's going to be. Now, we have 12 tribes plus one, the Levites. The Levites are in the center of the camp where the Holy of Holies and the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and they're in charge of doing the holy work. Surrounding them, right, we have four corners of the earth, north, south, east, west. That means we're left with three tribes in every corner to protect the camp. Now, it's interesting because if I try and find a logic in which God, dictated these tribe structures, it's clear that it wasn't random. How do we know it's not random? Because it seems that there is an underlying logic to the way in which God created the structure, and that is based on lineage, meaning the tribes are based on two mothers and two concubines, right? Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. And if you look at where every tribe was put, it seems that the underlying logic was keep tribes as much as you can together with the mums which they came from. Which, when you can already ask yourself, why do that? Why not have unity and sort of mix everyone up? For some reason, God didn't want to do that. Another interesting thing is if we look at how the land was divided up, right? When the tribes finally reach Israel, what happened there? We are told that God divides up the land randomly. We are told that there is a lottery, right? Moses tells Bnei Israel, or Joshua actually is the one who performs this lottery. We have this kind of random lottery, and whichever tribe comes out gets a certain plot of land. Now that doesn't really make sense because the God of the Bible is not a random God. The God of the Bible clearly is a God that has his hand in everything that goes on. So what does a lottery mean with such a God? Clearly God dictates that as well. Furthermore, if you look at, for example, where the tribe of Judah is, right, the tribe from which King David comes, it seems a little bit serendipitous that Judah happens to be situated, in a very convenient geographic area, of course not in the periphery. So first thing that we understand from this, and what I see, is that God is the one who is always dictating where the Israelites are going to be in the desert and where the Israelites are going to be living when we are in Israel. But what is one of these main differences if I go back to the structure of the lineage and this sort of disunity in the desert? I think that the reason God wanted the Israelites, if there is this underlying logic of according to the mums and the tribes you come from, it's because perhaps being in the desert is not going to be easy. There are going to be many challenges, enemies. We see this is what's going to happen. And we need in every corner of the camp as much unity as possible. And that means that if Judah got along with certain brothers and Reuben got along with other brothers, then perhaps for the sake of the overall unity, which there'll be time for when we get to Israel, let's keep a more particular unity in a way to strengthen the camp. And when we get to Israel, and this is the only way I can understand the word lottery, which isn't really a lottery, it's perhaps God's way of saying, let's have a fresh start. Let's mix things up in the way I'm, of course, going to dictate them, me God, but in a way that does enable this unity and mixing and mashing and mishmashing the different tribes for a better future. Shabbat Shalom.